so good to see you.
It is so good to see you. Look at that great smile. You got that great smile. So we're here with Debbie Babitt. We're going to call her Debbie Babitt with the great smile.
Oh, thank you.
Smile with those people. We love her. You know, and she's got this wonderful new book, A Man on the Train. And it takes place in my little hometown of Montauk. And by the way, here, I got you that. This is mine is water, yours is vodka.
Oh!
Little trick I play on my guests.
Wish I'd known that before. I would have started drinking earlier.
See, that's what I'm talking about. And we did an interview with her last year at the Writers' Night at the East Hampton Library. And you just have this wonderful personality. You're just kind of radiant and fun. And you just had me laughing, and it was like, people were like, well, you really like talking to her. I said, yeah, she was so much fun.
I know, we had such a great time, and this is what I was talking to my husband about this, because I love writing, of course, but the other thing I do so well is engage with people. So I just love to talk. I've been speaking at all these events, and we had so much fun. And then I start laughing at all my events, and everyone laughs along with me, and they buy all the books, of course. And they ask a lot of good questions, and I just love talking to people.
How can you not love a writer who's laughing and smiling and enjoying herself and enjoying her writing? You clearly. Having gotten to know you a little bit, not enough, but not much as I like, but a little bit. You can read in your writing that you're like enjoying it and enjoying the characters. Your characters are so rich. By the way, so her books, I'm finishing the previous one, Saving Grace, and it's so good. It's got first your character development. I can see you like, oh look, I'm going to give this to this character and that to this character and this to that character, and adding things in. But they're so rich. You got a small town with a woman who's the first woman sheriff in the town. She's kind of complex, a little hard to understand. She's got some secrets. But wait, let me.
I'm not going to give them away.
No, and I don't want to give this too much away. But Saving Grace, I'm going to talk about the book Saving Grace first. Which, by the way, I love the title. It's kind of got that little like the thing with searching for. The Robin Williams and
right.
Matt Damon,
right. I forgot the name.
Good Will Hunting.
Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. That little play on words. Your play on words, Saving Grace, and then I love the way that works. And Saving Grace is actually better than Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, it's great because it's active too, and you have an active verb.
Yeah, and okay, there's so much to talk about. And I don't want to sound like I'm jumping around too much, but I find her writing incredibly exciting. So will you. You got a little, oh God, I'm having I don't want to say senior moment, but was it Frank McCord or William Styron wrote Sophie's Choice?
William Styron.
Styron. Okay, so Styron, it's a Styron. Yeah. Bing, 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 we have a winner. So not Frank McCord, William Styron wrote Sophie's Choice. You've got that kind of thing embedded in there where the character has this incredible dilemma that it's like, what would you choose? So you've got that in there. But you kind of remind me of that. You got a little bit of Arthur Miller and the Crucible in there.
Boy.
You've got Eudora Wilkie. You remind me of Eudora Wilkie's style of narrative. You know, you got a little of those all at the same time. But Debbie, you have a style all your own. I could read one of your things and say, oh no, that's Debbie's writing.
Well, it's great that you say that because I was also a copy chief at Penguin. I was an actress and a playwright and then a copy director. And people, my editor and publisher would say, give it the Babitt touch. And I'd say, well, what does that mean? I don't quite understand. And she'd say, well, your writing just leaps off the page. And I said, I'm going to write my own book. And that's how Saving Grace came along. And because I'm character driven, because I was an actress, voices start talking to me, not that I should be in a mental institution, but characters start talking to me, and that was Mary Grace, but 11-year-old Mary Grace, before she became sheriff, so the book goes back and forth in time. But that's how I feel when I write these characters. I feel like they're speaking to me, and maybe that's what you mean about my writing style, because for me it's all about the characters' lives, their inner lives coming out in the story. Maybe that's what, I can't figure it out. I just write what they tell me, and the story kind of writes itself.
Look, that Edward Albee said about his writing, the same kind of thing. And I said, well, how do you choose what to write about? He says, I kind of write to find out what I'm writing about.
Exactly.
But I can kind of see you writing, saying, oh, what am I writing about now?
Yes.
What about these characters now?
Well, it's a pantser. People say, are you a pantser or a plotter? And the pantsers fly by the seat of their pants, and they see what's going to happen, with Arthur Miller did in Death of a Salesman. plotters are very careful. They have the plot before they have the characters. Like some authors will have the big twist first and then build around it. I can't do that. I have to have characters.
Can't?
No.
I was twisted as soon as I started reading.
No,
from the very beginning.
I have to have the
only
characters.
It goes, only I know the answer to what happened to those two little girls disappearing.
Right, exactly.
Right at the beginning.
Exactly.
Right at the beginning.
Well, that's the characters talking to me, and what's so great is that the twists and turns, yes, I know I'm told I have so many twists and turns, they come organically from the character's behavior, as opposed to coming up with the twist, and it fits the, as you know, fits the characters. And everyone asks me about the first sentence of Saving Grace, which is, I was coming up on the anniversary of my parents' death when the girls started disappearing. And
right there,
yes,
you got us.
Exactly.
And
that
everybody's leaning forward. Oh, you know that a story's coming. It's almost as good, and it's right up there with Hemingway's 6-word novel. You know, the Hemingway's 6-word novel.
Yes, yes.
For sale, baby shoes never worn.
Right,
and
right.
suddenly you are immersed in the story right there. Your
Thank
11
you.
words, you're immediately, okay, here comes this story, and I'm getting ready for it, but you have no idea what you're really in for. You, your style, and so what did she call it? The Babitt?
The Babitt touch, but I'll tell you
Babitt
something
touch.
else
It's
interesting.
very
And
appropriate.
my husband, we talk about this in acting. You have to be in the moment. Your character must be in the moment. Everybody will know if you're not in the moment. I can tell you the actors who are and aren't. So for me, my characters have to be in the moment, and I think it's the immediacy of that's what makes it the writing. It's the immediacy and feeling you're with the characters right away, because you have to be in the moment.
Yeah, but you write suspense.
Yeah,
I mean, and look, I've dabbled in my own little things about writing, and I'll write a story, but writing suspense. So you plot this out way in advance,
No.
so you know what the ending is, or it's coming along as it's going along.
It comes along as it goes along, but then comes the real hard part, because you're writing a thriller. So you then have to structure the plot and make sure everything works, and make sure that the reader isn't too far ahead or too far behind the characters. So it's a lot of rewriting, which is why it's very hard to write a book fast. And my editor said she'd rather have a good book than a fast book. So I rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. Once my characters are with me, then I'm telling their story, and then of course it's suspense. So you have to make sure that the reader says, gee, I never saw that coming, but it makes sense. But you don't want, or, oh my God, I never dreamed, and then it turns everything on its head, and that's what I'm working on in my new book now.
Yeah, but I would add that it is fast. The amount of information about your characters and about the plot is coming at you really fast. You've got the female sheriff, and she's got her complications, and then you got the little girl side,
right,
where she's bullied,
right?
And, so she's bullied, and then I don't want to, but so she's bullied, and then she's got she finally makes a friend. She finally has a friend. It's a change. It's almost like a plot point. It changes the nature of her. She's now got a new life with a friend and a buddy. 3 months later, boom, the friend disappears. So you're like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling for this little girl. She's been bullied, and now she's got a friend, and the friend disappears. Are you kidding me, Debbie? What the frig? Okay, I'm reading.
So that's what I want people to feel. I want them to feel for the characters at the same time that they can't stop reading. And that's kind of, most of my reviews for all 3 of my books have been, they can't stop reading, but it's so character driven. They love this character. They love the character development. So I feel really good that I've got the characters I want, but yet people say they can't stop reading.
Well, the Babitt.
The Babitt touch.
The Babitt touch. So the Babitt touch seems to lay out something that is suspenseful and intriguing. And then doesn't stop there. The Babitt touch is, let's add something on top of that that's intriguing about the person who's intriguing. Let's add another layer of intrigue over the intrigue of the first and over the second. You know, you got, but even like the characters, Briggs, but no one knows where he's made his money. It's like Jesus, every friggin' thing. Everything has another layer of suspense to it. Every character has another layer of suspense. So you're really it's like a black hole of suspense. You're like, you're in, you can't get out.
I love how you're describing this.
So they were so good. It was so good. But then I hate trying to put anything in any kind of a genre or character, or characterize it. But it's a story really salvation.
Yes.
And it's not redemption. It takes place in a town called Redemption.
Repentance.
So it's a story of redemption that takes place in a town called Repentance, and so you're even there, right? So you're in this town. By the way, is it a real town?
I based it on a town called Jasper.
Okay.
Which is a real town in northwest Arkansas.
Is it? Because I kind of looked it up. I figured on the way here.
Now, my editor, I'll talk all about fictional towns and why we authors have to use fictional towns.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, yeah.
It is based on a real town, though.
So, and by the way, this would make such a great play, but it'd be a complicated play.
Which one?
Really
Man on the Train?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I haven't got to this yet.
I have Saving Grace. I have it in my room, and I didn't bring it out. I was going to bring it out.
Well, so we want to talk about this, but first I'm just Saving Grace.
Yeah, I know, he's still on site.
So you've got this these characters, and then each character has its own level of suspense. And then, if that's not enough, you decide later on there's this disappearance. Nothing happens. They don't know. It goes on for years. It's still kind of lingering, dangling out there from the past. The sheriff, new female sheriff, and she's going to look at this. And it turns out that there's this wanderer, and he drifts into town. And it turns out that he drifted into town at the same time the first disappearance happened. So, okay, well, that drifter's back and someone else is disappearing. Seems like a logical conclusion. Oh, there you go. So I don't want to give it away so hard. I'm very enthusiastic. I'm loving reading this.
And I left some loose ends because everyone wants a sequel.
Oh, yeah.
I may be writing a sequel.
Briggs is a sequel. Briggs' story is a sequel. So then you got this drifter who comes into town, and then things start happening again, so you conclude things. And if that didn't make you go in that direction enough, you make the drifter a black man, and then you have white supremacists enter right. A black drifter who was there when the other thing. You go, white supremacists coming in. I'm like, it's like a tennis match. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, where am I going? Okay, these guys, those guys. It's just active. It's a fast read. It's got fast action going on it. But the characters and the richness of them. Where does that all come from?
Well, it's hard to say. I remember De Niro talking about acting, saying, "Well, I don't know. You tell me." Or Albee saying, "Do they have a child? You tell me." I feel like the characters come to me. They start talking, and as I reveal their story, I learn more and more. And I feel like I know I'm channeling the characters. It sounds a little mystical, but it becomes richer and richer because I'm uncovering along with the secrets that they're keeping, and I'm starting to uncover them. The reader's starting to uncover them, but there are more layers. I don't know where it comes from, Gregg, but thank God for it. Yeah. I thank God every day.
Page is another layer of something suspenseful and intriguing.
And that's what everyone tells me about all my books.
Amplified. You're like suspense squared.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Squared.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that.
It's suspense squared because it's just suspense on top of suspense in every character. And it's like, wow. And and you do have a lot of sequels in here. There's all kinds of places in Saving Grace.
Oh, my God.
That you're going off this way and go down. It could go this way, and you got a whole storyline over here.
And she's still there, still secrets at the end.
And, well, I'm almost there.
Oh my God! I won't tell you.
I was telling Debbie before. This is my busy season. I'm out here in the Hamptons. I'm covering a lot of events, so I'm running around doing a lot of different things. And I'm looking at the book, and I'm like, okay, and then I'm like running out the door. I'm trying to read that last sentence because it's hard to put it down. So you're the first. Okay, the Babitt touch. We're going to call this the Babitt touch.
Oh, great!
Another hallmark of the Babitt touch is you're the only person ever in anything I've ever read that makes a character out of the natural order of things. You refer to the natural order of things, and the way you do it, and its implication, and then the characters, their reliance on scapegoats for faulty thinking. Oh, God and the devil, and belief systems that justify certain ways of thinking. And you scramble all that up as you should, and a good writer does that, but it makes you have to think about these things differently. But when you refer to the natural order of things, that fascinated me, and it repeats through the whole stuff. Everybody relies on the natural order of things as if it's another person sitting right here. Okay, well, natural order thing. What do you think about this? It's really fascinating the way you do that.
Well, I will say that once you get to the end of Saving Grace, that will have even more impact.
Oh, God, I can't wait. I'm going right home right after this and read that.
And that's my first book. That was a Best of 2021 debut. And that kind of put me on the map, according to all the magazines and interviewers. And then First Victim was my second book, about the female judge.
Another great story that you mentioned to me. So look, I said I didn't want to jump around too much, but we do want to get to your
We want to
latest.
get to the man on the train, I know.
And it takes place in Montauk, where I just drove from to get here. So, and yeah, by the way, we're at the wonderful Barron's Cove Inn. And it's gorgeous. And I remember a long time ago when my parents used to stay here. It wasn't as nice as it is now, but it's a lovely place. And they've done a great job on it.
They really have. Yes, we love coming here, and they treat us beautifully. And we have readings, and they promote my book, and it's wonderful. And people come to the book signings at the Sag Harbor Bookstore, and it's just great out here. This is.
And they were so accommodating to put these hydrangeas right there in the shot for us, and the boats in the background. I couldn't thank them enough. So could you put some hydrangeas? No, but it's a lovely place, Barron's Cove. So where do you want to go first? You want to go to your second book? You want to go right to this?
Well.
Too late. I'm holding this up.
We should probably talk about The Man on the Train, because that's the one out now. Yes.
Yeah, it's great, and you are finding wonderful success because you're selling out everywhere you go.
Everywhere I go, it's unbelievable. I've been doing book signings everywhere. New York City, the Hamptons. I'll be doing a Florida book tour in the winter, and then I'm doing events at libraries, speaking everywhere, and it's so wonderful. And I post on social media a lot that I've been meeting people from all over the world, which is so exciting. And then they write to me and tell me what they thought of the book, and that helps.
Oh, that's got to be fun.
It's so exciting, and that helps me as a writer. I always ask them to email me, stay in touch, let me know what you think. And it's just been wonderful, Greg. My whole life's exploded in the last 3 years.
Okay, so look, addressing that, Blackstone, how did you come to them being your publisher? And are they helping? It seems like you're doing most of your scheduling of stuff yourself.
Well, Otto Penzler's my publisher. Blackstone does the Audible version.
Okay.
Otto Penzler, who owns the Mysterious Bookshop in New York City in Warren Street, and my editor, Louisa Cruz-Smith, who's just incredible. She's just beyond, and Charles Perry and everyone, Julian, everyone there. So it was very exciting. My agent made a deal with Otto for the first book, and I've been with them for both First Victim and The Man on the Train. And they do organize and schedule some nice signings and author events, but I do a lot myself as well, because when you're the author and it's your book, no one is going to push your book the way you are. And I want readers to, meet my characters. It's so important to me. It's like acting. If you don't get up and perform, what are you really doing if a tree falls in a forest? I want people to get to know my characters, and that's very important to me. But I've done some nice events at the bookstore. I was in conversation with A.J. Finn, who wrote The Woman in the Window, and I do a lot of nice books. But book signings I like the best, because I get to meet new people and talk to them.
You've got that everything's about vibration these days. You've got that wonderful vibration that would draw people to you, and too much energy to let anyone handle you without you pumping up the volume.
Well, that's actually true, because when I'm in the bookstores, I mean, it's great that when I'm not in the bookstores, the books are selling. I love that. But when I'm in the store and I talk to people, something happens. It may be that I'm not shy. There are authors who are shy. They sign their books and they scurry out. Maybe because I was an actress. Or maybe just I just engage well with people. And I love doing that in bookstores, and the books just fly out.
Fly out, and it's no exaggeration. She's at her book signings. People are lining up. Let's go to your characters for a minute. So your characters and the conflict you give them. The judge. I love the position you gave to the judge in your second book. Tell everybody about that.
So that's First Victim, my second book, and that came to me. I saw a courtroom and a woman taking the bench in a long robe. I said, there's my character. I knew her name, Alice McCarty.
Great roles for actresses, by the way. She writes great roles for actresses.
My Hollywood agent, Joel Gottler, I'm waiting. He's got my 3 books. He represents Michael Connelly and many other authors. So I'm waiting. And anyway, so Alice is a judge, and she's presiding over a murder trial, and she's got issues at home, which I won't get into, with her family. And something happens during the course of this trial that takes us back to her past and, of course, turns everything on its head. And then you're going in a new direction, but it's all about justice versus revenge, and will Alice pull the trigger?
And that conflict of when is revenge good or when is it not good, and when is it justice and when is it not justice.
Well, speaking to that, I wrote an article for Crime
where's
Reads,
the line?
Justice versus Revenge.
Yeah,
and
good. Yeah.
everyone should read it because it's, are justice and revenge different sides of the same coin? How do you justify one versus the other? So in the article I talk about books and movies about justice and revenge and which is which.
Great subject to kind of base your stuff on, along with the natural order of things.
I love
I
natural
told you I'm really
order.
fascinated with the
That's
natural
great.
order
I'm
thing.
glad you said that, Gregg, because that is one of the most important themes in Saving Grace.
It's a character in the book. It's got a personality. It's interactive. Everybody interacts with it. It's like the elephant in the room. It's like the natural order of things. But what I love is all of your characters. They've got a different understanding of the natural order of things, depending on whether they're looking at, oh, it's the devil does this, or God does this, or it's this does that. And everybody looks for something to justify their feelings about it. And there's so many lessons. I mean, I love stories with great messages. And all of your interactions and your conflicts have great messages behind them that all of us need to be listening to and learn from.
Well,
because the world is changing quickly, and
yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I feel like I'm writing about themes that are important to me, whether it's subconscious or not, and I'm wrapping it up in a thriller. So that's the genre I choose, but it's really the themes I'm trying to get across in my characters.
Chock full of great themes to be talking about. I mean, even with the bringing in the white supremacists and all of that, it's like, there you go, look at and the faults of that and the errors, and it's like, is it still really there? But it's still really there.
Yes.
So it makes us look at things and say, no matter how much you might want to deny things, I think that's old and done with.
Yes.
There's still remnants of things that are not finished and done with, over with, and you gracefully and wonderfully weave that in to the story. But okay, so I keep swaying from Montauk. No, let's concentrate on this as I kind of like weave us over into this other area. So, The Man on the Train. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
So, The Man on the Train is my commuter on a train, and what happens is on his daily commute from Scarsdale to Grand Central Station, a beautiful stranger sits down next to him, and his life takes a different turn. He has a wife who's a prosecutor. And without giving too much away, something happens. There are two murders 40 years apart. One has been unsolved for 40 years, and that took place on the roof of an abandoned lighthouse in a town called Manitawket, which is Montauk. But because the lighthouse is abandoned, it's a fictional town. But everyone knows it's Montauk. So what happens, the MacGuffin, like, Hitchcock coined that phrase. The MacGuffin is the meeting on the train, and that's only the beginning, because in my books, as everyone's been telling me, and it's true, nothing's what it seems. So that's the MacGuffin that will take the reader on quite a trip, and will take Guy to an unscheduled stop in his past, his long buried past, which his wife will now try to uncover.
Did I mention Noel Coward or someone else? You got a little Noel Coward in there.
I love Noel Coward.
He did Strangers on a Train, but it's the same kind of thing. This meeting and what happens afterwards.
Brief Encounter.
Yes, Brief Encounter.
Brief Encounter was one of my favorite films, and Noel Coward did not write a lot of scripts. That was a brilliant script. It was English with Celia Fremlin and Trevor Howard. And they meet in a train station. And so I love trains. And then Strangers on a Train, of course, Hitchcock, Patricia Highsmith's book. There's so many things you can do on a train. And again, I wrote an article for Crime Reads, because for each thriller I write an article for Crime Reads and other magazines, all about why trains make the best settings. Not airplanes, not buses, not cars. Why trains? And I do a whole article about why trains make such great settings.
Oh, so I have to read that. Can you tell us about it a little? Or without blowing it?
Well,
without giving too much away, because that's really cool.
Trains could be mysterious. I mean, think of Murder on the Orient Express, Strangers on a Train. And I talk a lot about Hitchcock's films because 4 of his films were set on trains, even though Strangers on a Train is only a few minutes at the beginning. That's all that takes place on the train. Marnie, the character walks across a platform, but they're mysterious. You can get on, but you can't necessarily get off. There are places to hide, to be concealed on trains. And then, of course, a train pulling into the station. I don't know if everyone's seen Shadow of a Doubt, another great Hitchcock film with Teresa Wright and Joseph Cotten. And there's quite a climactic scene where someone is pushed in front of a train. So then you have trains coming along the tracks, and they may not be able to stop. And there's also Double Indemnity with Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray, where a body has to be gotten rid of who's pushed off a train. So trains have and they're romantic.
Yeah, that too.
And Murder on the Orient Express, for those who haven't read or seen it, I don't want to give anything away, but Hercule Poirot has a lot to deal with on this train where no one gets off, and then it stops. It's frozen in the Alps. I love trains.
Douglas Denoff and Pat Addis brought back the Hitchcock movie on the train, and they turned it into a play, but it was funny.
Strangers? Throw Mama from the train.
No, it wasn't Throw Mama. No,
what was it?
No. Oh my God.
It was a takeoff on Strangers on a Train?
No, I'm sorry. So we'll get back to that. But yes,
that'll be another podcast.
It got turned into a great Broadway show as well, and really funny. And Douglas Denoff and Pat Addis brought it back. Okay, I'll remember in a minute.
Okay.
But don't think about it. But getting back to this, so when you started writing this and you got a character, are you like writing out characters and then adding on to them, or you're just flowing it as it's coming along, like some channel?
This is my first male character, and he came to me a while ago. He's been in my head for a while. I knew he was a commuter on a train, and a beautiful woman would sit down next to him. I always knew that, and his wife's a prosecutor. And what happened was, I've rewritten this book so many times, because for me, a lot of stories can go in many directions. In this case, my editor said, can you give the wife a bigger role? I said, I have to think about that, because Guy, his name is Guy, came to me, and he's my central character and goes back to his past in Montauk. But all the reviews I'm getting are saying the wife is such a well-developed character. We love how she's trying to clear her husband's name and investigating his past. So once that happened, a lot of new things opened for me, Gregg, a lot of new stuff. And suddenly this unsolved murder.
Since your editor helped you to suggest expanding one of the characters, that helped change things.
Yes, because I had this unsolved. There was a crime that took place 40 years earlier on the roof of an abandoned lighthouse in this town, Manitowoc. But there was also an unsolved 40-year-old murder. And so as the wife, who's a prosecutor, with her PI, who's in love with her, traveled to Manitowoc to investigate, more things came out for me about this crime and this murder, because it all made sense for me that now that she's unearthing things with the prosecutor's unerring eye and ability to drill down, all of a sudden there was more going on in Guy's life, which I don't want to give too much away, but that really opened the book up a lot for me.
You know, when you're thinking that fast, smoke is almost rising from your head. You can see the energy going on.
It's funny you say that, because I'm working on my fourth book, which is an idea for a series, and I'm waiting to hear from my editor. I sent her part one and a very detailed synopsis. And as I told my husband Ted today, I'm walking along thinking, well, I think there's another way to do this and tell the same story, but it would really turn everything on its head at the end of part one. Oh my God, I better wait to hear from my editor first. So what I'm saying is I have so many ideas and characters that I never have face a blank page.
But he
doesn't know what to say now.
You know, but you just revealed something that's wonderful. So your editor came to you with something, and you were open to it, and you accepted it, and you benefited from it. So many writers that I know are incensed. Right? Absolutely not. What are you talking about? Oh, what do you know? But would be violently opposed to
Thank you for saying that, because Louisa said, I hope this won't upset. Well, I said, well, it's not called The Wife on the Train. It really means that it'll be a total rewrite. And I did think about it, because this man, Guy, was in my head for a long time, and he was my main character. But I gave it a lot of thought. I really thought about it, and I liked her idea of, it's about memory. Memory is a major theme in this book. What we remember, what we bury due to trauma. So I thought, yes, it would be interesting if he's trying to piece together his past, but wouldn't it also be interesting if another character who's not from his past is trying to investigate, which gives the reader something to do as well? Because someone who's married to him who knows nothing about his past is trying to investigate and firmly believing he's innocent, refuses to believe that he could be guilty. And she's a prosecutor. She's used to everyone being guilty.
You invite every reader to get into the heads of your characters in a way that's really marvelous. And the way you open them all up, and where you're looking at what the characters having to deal with, and the conflicts, and then you start to want to help them resolve it or talk to them about it. It's very engaging, very engaging. Debbie Babitt, the touch. She's very engaging. But even in the psychological stuff that you go into with the judge, the psychological stuff you go into with Grace, it's deep. It's not simple. You've got a very complicated mind going on there.
Well, same with Guy. Everything for me, that's why it's psychological suspense. And the difference between mysteries or whodunits, psychological suspense or how and why done-its. Saving Grace is an unusual hybrid in that it's also a whodunit. But for me, it's all about what's in their heads and what makes them
Who
tick.
and why done it.
Yes, cool. Yes. So for me, everything's about that. And it's either buried memory or memories they're trying not to bring into their current lives. Guy, and Linda too, Guy's wife has her own past and her own memories to deal with. So I love psychology. Maybe I should have been a psychologist. But then I say I could have been a lawyer, but I'd rather write about it all. I do tend to write about law. I do tend to enjoy that.
Well, look, so you write about what you love. And the psychology, you do really well in exploring the psychologies of the characters and getting us involved in the psychologies of the characters and getting to know them. And that's intriguing for me. I'm kind of understanding them. So getting back to the editing thing, I've worked with and especially with reading Hollywood scripts, and then if you want to suggest something, we might make a suggestion to a writer if they could write something, because we're thinking in terms of who are we going to cast in this. Oh, this would be a great part for Reese Witherspoon. Oh, this would be great for George Clooney. But you need to give them something else, something more meaty to get them to actually sign on.
Right.
If you're trying to finance a film, it's tough. If you get a lead actor to sign on, well, you got a lot better chance of getting financing. So sometimes we would ask someone, I want to try to get this actor. Can you write a role a little bit more, even like a big soliloquy or some big, you give them their big scene.
Absolutely.
So you can attract the actor, and that way I can get the financing for you. But so do you do that? Do you think of actors and who would play these parts?
Well, actually, in Saving Grace, I always thought of Reese Witherspoon as the sheriff. She's Southern, Mary Grace grown up.
No, we have never. You just heard me say Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
You just heard that. You witnessed it right there. She's never said that before. God is my witness. Strike me down. Right?
Absolutely not.
Never.
Never.
And I just said Reese Witherspoon. That's kind of interesting.
That is, but more than that.
And you already think of that.
She also has a book club. So I thought Saving Grace would be perfect for her on every level. No one knew how to get to her, including my agent and publisher.
Should have called me.
I should have. I absolutely should. But yes, I do think.
I got connection. I got people.
Oh my God. Oh, and my Hollywood agent said this is Saving Grace is a limited series. First Victim's a film, Man on the Train's a film. But yes, I have thought. I was actually thinking for the judge in First Victim, Julianne Moore or Nicole Kidman. But I'm thinking
Julianne Moore. She's a pretty interesting actress. You got Kate Mulligan to read the thing. Did you have the choice for the Audible?
No,
because Kate did a good job on that.
She did a great job. She's a Shakespearean she's an actress with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. She did a fabulous job on Grace.
She had a little part with Jack Black and I forgot the name of that thing, but with Jack Black but she's one of those great actresses,
great.
And she did such a good job. But you didn't choose her.
No, that's all the publisher. And I guess when they sell it to Audible, Blackstone chooses. I know Hilary Hahn, who's a wonderful New York actress. She did First Victim, and Linda Jones did Man. It's interesting. A lot of female voiceover, a lot of female performers are reading all the roles.
Yeah.
Although sometimes they do too, but yes, Linda Jones read all the roles, including Guy.
So were you given like a multiple choice, and you said which one, or they just said that?
No, they did. They choose.
And you trusted that.
Yeah,
So that's
I did.
That's wonderful that you're letting yourself trust and get carried away, and that's why you're getting carried away. Trust is an important thing.
Very
If you don't
important.
Trust anybody, you wind up not getting anywhere.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just have to trust them, even if you don't believe in what they're saying. Sometimes, like, okay, all right, I'll let go. I'll let you do this. I've had to do that a couple times, but it's never been bad.
And I have Otto, and I know he's been around a long time, so I trusted. I mean, this is Penzler Publishers and Mysterious Press. I mean, and Scarlet Suspense was a new imprint they started, and that's another reason I went with them, because it was a brand new imprint.
So, and they're treating you well? Because if they're not, I told you just now, I said I got people. You know,
Okay.
If they're not treating you well, I got people.
Otto, I hope you're listening to that. I hope you're watching this.
So I promised I would try to keep this brief. It's so tough because there's so much to talk
I
about.
know we have such a great time
and
talking.
then we'll get good because we're going to get a chance to do more. So the thoughts of a series. I mean, I'm reading this stuff, and I said, no, this is a series. Man in the Train, I can't wait to read this. I'm sure it's going to be the same. Saving Grace, it's like a 13-episode Netflix series.
That's what the Hollywood agent said. It's absolutely a series.
Those Hollywood agents,
Absolutely.
they steal all my ideas.
And I'm going to write a sequel. And my
It
husband
is.
had an idea, which I don't want to give anything away about Saving Grace, but there's something going through the maternal line, and we're thinking of a prequel that would take place in Europe in the 1800s.
Wow.
That would be a prequel, in which you'll know once you finish the book.
Look, the spirituality sides in there and the connections with with other parts of yourself, that I already got that. So this sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I'm very excited. But now the book I'm working on now is an idea for an actual series character who would return, and I'm debating because these three have been standalone suspense. So this would be my first foray into a character who might be a recurring character.
But Grace wouldn't be a recurring character?
I'm not sure. I see a prequel and a sequel. Well, she could be because she's still in the law. It's possible, but she's
She's
hiding.
worked out her stuff, and then who's she going to be in the next round after her stuff is kind of worked out?
Right. Although she's keeping secrets, which we won't say what they are.
And that lingers on, that the Babitt touch. Keep those suspense things coming.
You got a character keeping secrets, and they have to move on,
Yeah.
but they've got secrets here. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. I mean, I like doing standalones. I like doing suspense and then moving on to something with new characters. But I have had a lot of readers tell me that they do follow series, a character over a long arc who continues in each book.
You know, I know Nelson DeMille. And Nelson's characters, so look, he does his character, and that's what I thought about with Grace. So here's this great character that can be put into another a situation, a circumstance, another situation, a circumstance, another situation, a circumstance, and all of the things that build up and that she's getting from the first book can now mature her into the second.
Oh,
and
that's
now she's got a more
interesting.
mature character, just like Nelson's characters
Right.
grow, and they become more expansive and they understand more. So now you've got the same character, but now got more dimension and a better capacity to deal with their dilemmas.
Then
and
I
their
will say,
conflicts.
I'm going to think about that then, because I really love her, and I've been missing her. And my editor even said, I hope you write another Grace book.
You're missing the character that you wrote about.
Yeah, I do. It's hard. It's like in acting. When something ends, the book ends, it's like the characters stay with you. It's very hard to let go.
I am absolutely sure that I'm going to be missing Grace after I finish this, because it's a wonderful character, and when you get to know someone that deeply, you get an attachment to them. And that's a beautiful thing about with your writing, you're getting attached to all of the characters.
Oh, thank you,
So-
Greg. That makes me feel so good, because that's really my goal, for people to really relate to my characters and feel for them and feel for their situations and just take something away, when they finish.
So, you can't not take something away when you've read a Debbie Babitt book. You're taking a lot away with you, and you can't help it, because it's filled with wonderful messages, rich, deep characters, conflicts, and then situations that are appropriate applicable to today's situations, that kind of lead you into a better light and way of looking at things.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that part too. I appreciate your writing. I'm really and our talking, and you give me this chance to talk to you again.
Oh, this is wonderful. And, I was a playwright, so I love writing dialogue, and I would love to adapt my own books to the screen and write the screenplays and the...
So I tried to write a screenplay. And so I've written stories and stuff, but not as wonderful as you. But writing a screenplay, I was so proud of it when I finished. I gave it to a good friend to produce a bunch of high-end movies out in Hollywood. I had him read it. He said, "Gregg, I love the plot. You've got plot point 1, plot point 2, conflict resolved. You got all the things, great stuff for the characters." He said, "The only thing is, they're all speaking the same. he said, you know, that they all have the same vocabulary. They all sound like you. I was like, oh yeah, okay. But then I realized that all writers, and you touched on this a minute ago, all writers need, really good writers, have to be a little schizophrenic to be able to write from another person's completely different orientation, and different vocabulary and different mannerisms. You have to be well, you're comprehensive in your understanding of the human.
Oh, thank you. Well, I want to illuminate the human condition, not to put too fine a point on it, writing suspense, but I really want to illuminate the human condition. That's very important to me.
Well, Debbie, you do.
Thank you.
This is Debbie Babitt. She illuminates the human condition, and it's the Babitt touch. You have to read her books. Where before we end this, so you're out in the Hamptons now. But you are so rigorous with your schedule.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, no, she's over here. She's in New York. She's over there for 2 weeks. Now she's down and back in Florida. You're going to be out in the Hamptons when? So try to give anyone, like, if people are going to see this like tomorrow. So where would you be? Where could they come and see you? I got any more book signings that are close by?
I'm going back to New York tomorrow because I have book signings. So Barnes & Noble, 87th and 3rd, the Corner Bookstore. My books are in all the stores. And I'm going to be doing events at the libraries. You should check my website, debbiebabitt.com, and check out my next events and where I'll be. But my books are available everywhere. And if you want to come hear me speak, just let me know, email me and let me know where you are, and I'll tell you where I am, because I'm in the Hamptons a lot because of, the book set in Montauk.
But unfortunately, you're not going to be at the East Hampton Library's Writers' Night?
No, I have an event,
where we
unfortunately, so I won't be able to do that. I actually have to go back to Florida. Yeah, I'm not. I go to Florida in November, where I have a lot of libraries set up, but I have an event for Man because they didn't want to wait till then. So I'm flying down to Florida that weekend, so I won't be here. I know.
We can't kind of clone you, right?
I know. I was thinking if someone else could take my place, but the library's got my books. They know everything going on. So, but this was important to do because this is connected with the library I know well, and I said I would do it. And I did authors night for First Victim. I said, it'll be for my next book then. But I'll probably go back to. I'll probably do something at the library anyway, because sometimes for Saving Grace I did. A library event at East Hampton Library by myself. Yeah.
Well, then I am more fortunate than I realized with the fact that I met her at an event that she wouldn't be at this year. So I did meet her when she was there, and it's a real pleasure. I love your writing. I'm glued to it. I love your characters, and all of them lend themselves to plays and to movies. But Debbie Babitt, you're here and you're here. Great writer. Check out her books.
Thank you so much, Gregg. This was great. A wonderful time. And everyone, here we are at Barron's Cove. Where could we have a better time to talk and promote? It's great. Thank you for having me. Oh, this was great. I'm going to remember everything you said to me. You said such great things.